All right, welcome to the new and improved Math 108 final exam review. This is Math Professor E, and hopefully you enjoy the videos. So this is the review sheet that we're going to be looking at. We have 100 questions we're going to go through, and I'm going to combine several topics into a single video. So I'm going to take the first 4 questions from topic 1, which is algebras and percent, and I'm going to answer the questions as follows. So, what does number 1 say? Number 1 says you want to write the phrase in symbols. 3 times the sum of a number and 2. What does that mean? Let's write that in symbols. But before I do that, I want to establish the order of operations. So for question 1, make our ink a little bit thicker. We're going to go over the order of operations. And the order of operations is important because we need this when it comes to setting up these type of word problems. So the order of operations is known as PEMDAS, which means parentheses come first, then exponents, then multiplication or division when you read the equation or the expression, rather the equation left to right, and then addition or subtraction. And we want to find these operations in our question so we can set up the expression or the equation and then continue from there. So we have the phrase 3 times the sum of a number and 2. I see 2 types of operations. We see times. Times means multiply. We see the word sum. Sum means to add. Now, when you're reading this, it says 3 times the sum of that number and 2. So that 3 is being multiplied to the addition between some number, a number, and 2. Because the 3 is being multiplied to both the number and 2, and it's being multiplied to that sum. Our answer, and I can't spell, so let's take that back, will be 3 times, in parentheses, I'm going to use x for the number. That's x plus 2. This is 3 times the sum of a number and 2. So that's the answer to the first question. Number 2 is similar to number 1, except you're taking a step further, because for number 2, it wants you to set up the equation and then it wants you to find that number, whatever that number is going to be. So let's read it. The difference of a number and 8 is the same as 46 less the number. The word difference means subtraction. And less the number, that also means subtraction. But there is an order to each of these expressions. Before I continue, I want to highlight the word, whether the phrase is the same as. Is the same as means equals. So I'm going to put an equal sign there. So when I set up this equation, the difference of a number and 8, that is just x minus 8. 46 less the number, that's going to be 46 minus x. So I want to translate that below for number 2. X minus 8 equals to 46 minus x. And we want to solve for x. I personally like to keep x on the left-hand side, but you can always move it to the right-hand side. But I don't like dealing with negative variables, so I'm going to keep my x on the left side. What does that mean? I am going to look at my equation, and I'm going to add x to both sides of my equation. Make that blue a little bit thicker as well. I don't know why all of these colors are skinny like this. The x on the right side cancels. X plus x is 2x. And we can bring down everything else and continue solving for x. I want my constant on the right side, so I'm going to do the inverse operation. The operation between 2x and 8 is subtraction. I want to move that 8 to the right side. So the inverse of subtracting 8 is to add 8 to both sides. When you're solving equations, you're doing the inverse operation, so that means you're doing PEMDAS and reverse. The 8's cancel, so now we're left with 2x on the left side, and that's equal to 46 plus 8. That is going to be 54. The operation that's going on between 2 and x is multiplication. We want to isolate the x. Therefore, we have to do the inverse operation of multiplying by 2, which is to divide both sides by 2. The 2's simplify each other out. Once again, you have to understand key concepts. It does not cancel, because cancel means to make 0. So the 2's simplify each other out. X equals to 54 divided by 2, and that is 27. And you can always check to see if your solution works by plugging it into the original equation. But we're going to assume that it works in this case. Question 3. So let's read it. A high school graduating class is made up of 500 students. There are 132 more girls than boys. How many boys are in the class? So for number 3, let's take that key piece of information that we have girls and boys in the class. So I want to write down kind of a setup. So the boys in the class plus the girls in the class equals to the total number of students in the class. For most, you guys can probably just get straight to the math, but I want to set it up for those that may be a little bit unsure on how to approach it. When you go back and read the question, it says there are 132 more girls than boys. What does that mean? That means that whatever boys is, however many boys we have in the class, there will be 132 more girls. I don't mean class. I mean, well, graduating class, same thing. So I'm going to call boys X. If I call boys X, there's X number of boys. When it comes to girls, it is going to be X plus 132. Because once again, there's 132 more girls than there are boys. Remember, we're adding between. And this will equal to the number of students that are graduating, which is 500. We can combine our like terms. X plus X is 2X plus 132 equals 500. The goal is to first solve for X and then go back to the question to see if we satisfied the given condition. So let's do the inverse operation, and let's do PEMDAS and reverse. We see addition of 132. The opposite of adding 132 is to subtract 132 from both sides of our equation. So let's subtract both sides by 132. So 2x equals to 368. Then we still want to continue solving for x. The operation between 2 and x is multiplication. To get x by itself, we're going to do the inverse operation rather the inverse of multiplying by 2, which is dividing 2 from both sides. The 2 simplify. X equals to 184. When you go back to the question asks, how many boys are in the class? Boys were defined by just X. What is X? X is 184. So our answer is there is 184 boys in the class. And for reference, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to put for reference. For girls, to find the number of girls in the class, if the question asks that, that's going to be 184. I don't want to use that color. Plus 132. Because there's 132 more girls than there are boys in the class. And when we add those numbers together, that equals to 316. But once again, we're only focusing on the boys. This is just a reference in case on your final exam or any exam you take with this type of concepts, ask you for both boys and girls or just maybe girls. Let's do the last one, number 4, and then that'll be it for the first video. Also, you should always try these problems on your own before you look at the video and see how to do it or read the written solutions. But it says an auto repair shop charged a customer $348 to repair the car. The bill listed $68 for the parts and the remainder for labor. If the cost of labor is $40 per hour, how many hours of labor did it take to repair the car? Let's set up a basic equation for number 4 up here. Then we'll solve it below. So reading the question, the charge or the cost of repairing the car equals to the parts plus the labor. We know the cost in this case. The cost is $348. We also know how much the parts cost. The parts cost $68. And that's being added with $40 per hour. When you review your words in your operations, in this case, the word per is going to represent multiplication because every hour that is worked on this car, you are being charged $40. So if it's like 2 hours, you're being charged 40 times 2, which is 40 times 40, which is $80. So we're going to call that 40x. That's the equation we want to solve for question number 4. Let's go down here. Number 4, our equation is $348 equals to $68 plus $40 an hour. And there you go. You want to solve for x. You want to get x by itself in this case. And x, I want to say, equals number of hours. You must define what the variable represents. So to get x by itself, I first want to subtract both sides by $68. these cancel out. So that's going to be $280 equals to $40x. And the inverse of multiplying by 40 is to divide both sides by 40. And I do want to say this. I am dividing dollars by dollars. It's the same unit. When you divide the same units, the units also simplify each other out. So the dollars simplify each other out. The 40s on the right side simplify each other out. You're left with just x. And 280 divided by 40 is 7. Once again, x means number of hours worked. So the answer is 7 hours of labor to fix that car. Don't just solve for x, give the meaning behind x as well. So hopefully this first video was able to help you. And I hope that it prepares you for your exam. And hopefully you like the rest of the videos. So I'll catch you in the next one. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself. Positive mindset.